Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 66 of Generation GC, Walk By from Good Charlotte, the band's first album released in 2000. My name is Molly Hudelson, once again, and as always, I'm your host, as well as the producer, creator, and editor of Generation GC. My guest today is John Benjamin of the band Karma Kids. Last week, we talked about Actual Pain from Generation RX, and next week, we'll be talking about a song from The Chronicles of Life and Death. Karma Kids was formed in 2019 by John Benjamin and Zach Wesco. They ran with the dubbed subgenre emocore, debuting with a double album, Dystopian Dream, in early 2020, which featured driving early 2000s emo instrumentals with screaming vocals. The band started gaining traction notably from the single Matrix, which featured Bowling for Soup's Jarrett Reddick. Throughout 2020, they recruited Vito Hicks, Brandon Sloan, and Topher Kernek to complete the five-piece. In late 2020, the band ditched the screaming vocals and put out an EP titled Chemical Drugs. Shortly after the release, they announced a partnership with Legend Recordings in-Groove's music group to handle distribution. Once again, they moved to another corner of the emo-core horizon with Vibes, the new album that adds in elements of emo rap into the songs. Vibes is due out June 11th via Legend Recordings. Also, as a complete side note, I just wanted to mention if you hear some whimpering or whining in the background, I don't know, you might hear that now, that is my dog, Buddy Afikomen Waldorf. He is very sad that I'm not giving him any snacks or treats or attention right now. This episode was also the first episode that was recorded since I have had Buddy since he came home, and it's been very good and he's very sweet. He just really likes attention, so sometimes when I am just recording on my computer, or even worse, if I'm on a Zoom call, he doesn't like that. He wants me to pay attention to him. Anyway, I wanted to say that I love having guests from all over the world and just from all different backgrounds as guests on Generation GC. If English isn't your first language, that's okay. As long as you're comfortable holding a conversation in English, you're good to go. And different backgrounds, by the way, that doesn't just mean location or ethnicity. That's ensuring a varied gender and sexuality representation. It's representing fans of different ages, fans with their own unique life experiences of any sort. Like anything that, is a part of you, a part of your own story, your own life that contributes to who you are and how you interact with music and how you've connected with Good Charlotte. I want to talk about it, reach out. I would love to have you on the show. I also want to continue mentioning blacklivesmatters.card.co, antisemitism.card.co, and anti-asianviolenceresources.card.co. Educating ourselves is a really important step on stopping hate crimes and violence, and I encourage you all to continue reading up and make changes, make donations, make a difference, get involved when you're able to. Finally, Generation GC stickers are here. If you do want a sticker, there's two ways you can get one. Number one, support the show on Anchor. Go to anchor.fm/generationgcpod and click support. All that money is going to go right back into making the show the best that it can be. It helps me buy equipment that I need, like different cables, a laptop riser, headphones, helps me print and ship the stickers. So it makes a difference, and it really helps me out. Number two, you can make a charitable donation. I'm encouraging you to go to blacklivesmatters.card.co and just donate to any org that's listed there. Whatever you're able to give can make a really big difference. And then you're going to send me a screenshot of either your support of the show on Anchor or your charitable donation, as well as your mailing address, and I will send you stickers. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at GenerationGCPod, P-O-D, or you can send me an email, generationgcpod@gmail.com, and I will send you the stickers. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and now on to episode 66.
So, Walk By is track 10 or 11 on Good Charlotte, the band's self-titled debut album. So track 9 is I Heard You. On the original version, which is what's on streaming services now, Walk By is track 10, Let Me Go is track 11. The 2001 deluxe reissue, which has the Click on it, the Click is track 10, Walk By is track 11, Let Me Go is track 12.
That's so weird because normally if there's like a track like that, it would be at the end, and it's not like they're just cutting something out of the middle.
Right. Well, they didn't cut out the click. The click was added later.
Mm.
But, right, you would think they would put it at the end.
Once I owned my own hard copy, I always had the click. So it was just weird to not have it in there.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's, I don't know. I have no idea why the click is not on Spotify, though. No idea. So Walk By was not a single, and they have played it live, but only once in the last, 20 years. Like, I'm looking at this on setlist.fm, and it says that they played it at the Egyptian Room at Old National Center in November 2016. So that's like...
So I was actually there.
So did they play it?
They started to, and then because someone was yelling it, and then they stopped.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so it was just a tease, but
I almost went to. So I went to school in Ohio, and I almost drove to Indianapolis for I think it was the cardiology tour, but I didn't. Did you go to that?
I didn't. I don't know why it took me so long to see them, but the 2016 tour was the first time and still only time I've gotten to see them.
Hell yeah.
So I definitely missed a lot, but
yeah. Yeah, so they had played Walk By 1999, 2001, and then I guess they just didn't, kind of fell out of rotation. They did, and John, you and I were talking about this before we hopped on, that in 2016 they released some never-before-seen live footage from a 1999 show. And I don't think, because I watched that clip, because we were trying to figure out, where is this? Where can we find this video? It looks like it was just, a little bit of Walk By, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure that full show is shot, but it looks like it was either fan footage that they got off of someone or just a friend of the band that had probably filmed it.
I wonder about that, though, because...
Green Day did the same thing a few years ago because they put out a documentary about the early days in the East Coast or the East Bay scene, and they just got a bunch of fans to have all of that footage just from their camcorders back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah, I wondered about that too. Was it just a fan that they didn't know, or was it a friend of the band kind of thing, or someone's mom or something? Yeah, or a venue employee. Because it's uploaded on the MDDN YouTube and everything, so it's legit, Yeah. I don't know. I'm curious about the origins, and maybe I will someday find the origins of that footage and have to come in and edit this.
Yeah.
Well, John, I want to help our guests get to know you and Karma Kids.
Okay.
So the first question that I like to ask everyone is, when did you first hear Good Charlotte, and what were your first thoughts on them?
I was probably 6 or 7. It was definitely either 2000 or 2001.
Oh, wow. So you were young.
The self-titled album was all that was out, obviously. And I've always just listened to albums all the way through. I don't want to just hear a couple songs. So I dove into it, and it was a family friend CD, and I would just borrow it all the time and just listen to it constantly. I just I listened to Blink-182 at the time, so I was into pop punk, but I don't know, they just have a spark to them that really just feel good pop punk. Yeah.
A little. The first record is very earnest and very hopeful, I think, which, despite obvious musical similarities, I wouldn't say I would characterize Blink as earnest and hopeful. At least Blink of 2000, 2001.
And I mean, I was a kid, so I probably didn't dive into the lyrics much. I just liked the catchiness, and I don't know, I've just always loved that sound. Yeah.
And I also like to ask if you've ever seen Good Charlotte live, but you just told me that you have.
Yep, that was the only time. I can't wait till shows are happening again and they come back on tour.
Yeah. Well, Karma Kids has been really busy. Like, I'm going to read this off and tell me if I'm missing anything. So, 2020, you had the Chemical Drugs EP. That was just after a double album, Dystopian Dream Part 1, American Mind, and Part 2, Land of the Free. You've had a couple singles since then. I mean, a lot of artists are just like not even releasing new music right now, or like maybe a single, but no albums till they can tour. So I guess this is like a two-part question. Number one, what's behind the move to do so many releases? And number two, how do you have such an output? Because also there's an album on the way.
Yeah. So I do the production, so it doesn't cost me anything to make all the music.
Right.
So that makes it easy. So there's really no limit to how much I can do. And when I start on something, I just hyper focus on it. So originally, the Dystopian Dream was just going to be one record. So the first part is all about mental health awareness and different conditions and like a first person view of that. And then I started thinking about the next release. It was probably going to be an EP about conspiracies. And then as I started on that, I mean, it turned into an album, and then it made sense to this big thing of like just how humanity is right now. There's a lot of mental health issues that are just starting to be talked about more, and then also just everything's fucked up. So that's where all the conspiracies come from, and it's just like
it's all related.
It's just a big view into how crazy everything is right now, and just what it's just like to exist, I guess. Just everything you deal with, and the good and bad. So that all came out, and then we, like, all of those were screaming vocals, and then we made the move to like all the clean vocals. So we wanted to go full force at that. Chemical Drugs was originally an album, and I've got probably so it's an EP. I've got the other half that I scrapped basically because we started writing the next record, Vibes, and it was like, we need to move in this direction, just get this stuff out now.
Yeah, because Vibes is definitely a different sound than Dystopian Dream. Like,
yeah,
it's much. So I only had one listen through it today, but it's much. It's like a step towards like the emo trap, almost.
Yeah, and I do want to push that sound further. I mean. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, I'm definitely going to give this record its time and its cycle, but I'm definitely thinking about the next release already.
Wow. So when you write, like, are you typically sitting down to go, okay, we need a song, like we have this concept for the record and we need this to fit? Or is it like, okay, I wrote a song, where does it fit? Like, how does the putting together the record happen?
In all the bands I've been in, I've always really come up with the track lists and set lists. I can see where things should go and how they should make sense in order, and see it as a complete piece. So I guess that just kind of makes it natural for me. Sure. Like I can write a song and be like, okay, this is an opener, or this is a closer, or this is the ballad, or this goes before the closer, and I just know. And I don't know how to explain it much other than that. It's just a sense I have, I guess.
Yeah, it's like an intuition, kind of. Well, back to Chemical Drugs, that EP, I mean, I'm so glad that you mentioned this song, because that EP was released on a date that is mentioned in this song. And I love, by the way, when Mike emailed me, he was like, yeah, Karma Kids released their EP on a date mentioned in the song. And I was like, oh my God, October 9th. So was that like an intentional choice at all, or did that just happen to?
Oh yeah, I whenever I put out music, I try and make it on like a date that has some meaning to me if possible. I mean, obviously it has to land on a Friday. But like, for example, our song coming out this Friday, well, when this is watched, it'll be in the past, but the song coming out April 9th with Kellen Quinn is my birthday. And then the album drops on our drummer's birthday. So I always try and connect those.
I like that. And I want to talk about that Kellen Quinn collab, by the way. I was so happy. So, like, I saw that on the track listing before I heard the record. It's called Nothing Left to Lose. Tell me about working with him, getting him on the track. Like, how did that happen?
That's Nightmare he's on. But we
No, the single, that's right. The single is the newest single is Nothing Left to Lose. He's on Nightmare. Yep. Okay.
Yep. But so I kind of, I don't know, I just wanted him on one of the songs on this record. I like had it envisioned, but didn't think it was like realistic. And I sent him Nightmare, and everything just kind of fell into place. And like he sent it back finished the next day, and just like, holy shit. Okay. And then I put it all, it was like a bunch of vocal tracks. So I had to put everything together in the session, and I bounced it and then burned it to a CD and went on a drive and just blasting it on repeat. And that was just like I waited for that time for a long time, but that's where I was just like, holy shit, I can't believe I'm in this band.
Yeah. That's gotta feel good.
Yeah, it was awesome because it was like everything coming full circle. Because I saw Sleeping with Sirens they were the openers on a tour with like Scarlett O'Hara, Attila, Drop Dead Gorgeous, For All Those Sleeping.
Was this the like Scream It Like You Mean It tour in like 2011?
It was no, it was Drop Dead Gorgeous was headlining. I forget what it was called, but that lineup was stacked, and a lot of the bands like weren't big yet, but then a lot of them like got big.
Yeah.
Like no one knew who Attila was at the time, apart from like the organic spreading of their name. But no one around me knew who Sleeping with Sirens was. I was very impressed though. It was in a church basement, and so that's just crazy after all that time of watching them, their career develop, blow up, just to see, like, to be able to work with him. So that was so cool.
That's awesome. And you know, Sleeping with Sirens, friends and collaborators of Good Charlotte as well. And so whenever I have a musician on the show, I love to ask, like, how has Good Charlotte influenced you? I guess because you've been in a bunch of bands, like both, you know, if you want to share in past bands as well as in Karma Kids.
I think it's definitely like their influence is a staple in my writing. Like they write so catchy, and it doesn't have to be the most complex thing, especially like I guess it's self-titled and The Young and the Hopeless that really is a part of how I write. But it's got a magic to it that when you listen to it, you just know that something's gonna be good, and that's like something I strive for. And I don't know, just the catchy. When I want to write something super catchy, like that's what my influence is for sure coming from.
You know, and you mentioned the first two records, but as you were talking about like the themes of your double album, like mental health struggles kind of coming to light, and conspiracies and like shit going on in the world, I think a lot of the themes of Generation RX, which is the most recent Good Charlotte album, and not to say they're the only band that's ever talked about that, because those are, I think, just things that are kind of big in awareness right now. But yeah, I like definitely was, as I was listening to it earlier and as you were talking, I'm like kind of seeing that parallel too.
Yeah, and I actually had never thought about that until you said that now. So that's pretty interesting because like the first two records are on my like pretty off rotation of what I'll listen to like in the car. I did just listen to Generation RX the other day for the first time in probably at least a year and a half now. So that, yeah, I'm going to listen to that again after we finish this and just think on that. That's very interesting point.
Listen to, I think it's Better Demons, where there's a voice that comes in. There's, not to like sidetrack too far, because there was one of the songs on your album, and I'm like trying to remember which, that talked about like people are everyone's struggling with mental illness. And then in Better Demons, there's like a cut in the bridge that's like a voiceover, and it's really hard to make out, but it sounds kind of like they're saying 1 out of every 4 Americans is struggling with a mental illness or something. Like it gets kind of garbled, but
okay, yeah, that's kind of like the same idea of our intro on those records. The song, the title track, "American Mind." It's like I think it was just like voice to text that was talking about how mental illness affects the brain and whatnot. But it's a very interesting correlation.
There you go.
Huh.
Well, Mike at Earshot Media had connected us, and I'm super happy to have you on the show. Why did you want to talk about Walk By in particular?
That's just always been one on that record that I've loved. It's got a very memorable guitar riff. It's super catchy. Like I just remember, like it's out of all of them, that one's one that just has always stuck with me. I'm usually into deeper cuts of records. And I don't know, I'd say that's probably my top 3 on the record for sure.
I think what sticks out to me about it, like that guitar riff, this song feels very rock and roll.
It's like they've got the pop punk sound obviously in that song. Like that song has been like a staple for how pop punk songs are produced, written, and structured. But that it's still got like a rock and roll spirit to it. It's it's very I don't know. I can't think of anyone else who really has that blend without it getting cheesy.
Right. I mean, yeah, I know, because a lot of bands have sort of similar things, but maybe they don't blend it as well, or they don't have the same combination of elements. I was looking at the lyrics. Does he say, I think this is the second verse. Does he say, it's the second verse. Is he saying eagles fly when she walks by, or egos fly when she walks by?
I'm pretty sure it's eagles, but I like the egos line better.
So Genius says it's eagles, but I always heard it as egos.
Yeah, it's they both definitely make sense.
Right.
And I don't know, I think if I were writing the song, and even if I'd said the other, I would claim now that it was egos.
Right, egos is a little cooler. Yeah. Because egos fly, like they're talking about this girl that's, I guess, kind of a heartbreaker. So like, yeah, of course your ego is going to fly and you're going to be all destroyed, whatever. Well, yeah, on that note, like, what would you say, what is your interpretation of what this song is about? Because I'll share my thoughts after you go. And like, honestly, I spent a lot of years really just having no clue what this song was about.
I think it's just about a girl that that he's in love with and thinks is out of his league. Very classic from the time period for pop punk songs.
Yeah.
And, movies too.
Oh yeah.
But it's, I don't know, I think it's just like going into detail about like wow, I know I can never have her, but like this is everything that like happens through that and what I'm dealing with it. And it's got some pretty memorable lines, and like even if some of them, okay, I know we're going to talk about this in a minute, but for example, like the devil looks at her line, like that's so damn catchy, but it's like you don't really think unless you really like dwell on the song, like that's a weird line. Like how would this make sense in the context?
Right. Yeah, I think that's what's plagued me is like, who is the devil? Because I think I don't know, kind of my interpretation of it is like, this is a girl that's like bad news. She's a heartbreaker. He knows that if he makes a move, it's going to go bad. And so he just has to let her walk by without, going for it, asking for her number or whatever. I think my interpretation, at least growing up, was that the devil was like, this girl has a boyfriend.
Okay. I never thought about that. That makes sense though.
This girl has a boyfriend and he's kind of an asshole.
Looking back now though, I could see like, I could see it saying like she's the son or the daughter of the devil. Like she's so like she's bad news, but like he's trying to pull you towards that.
And the devil's trying to pull you towards.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I could see that. I don't know. Do you think this is about a specific person, or do you think this is the kind of song that was written with no one particular in mind?
See, that's hard to say because, I mean, it could be very well either way because it's like a creative writer could very easily paint that picture of a totally fictional scenario, or it could be completely biographical because Joel has done a lot of biographical writing on that record.
It could be like a biographical story, like about the girl, but maybe certain details kind of added, or
you definitely like, it has to obviously still make sense in a song and still be catchy and still, like you're still pretty confined to, what you can say and how you can rhyme it. So it could definitely be, like a stretched truth.
Yeah. I want to talk about the guitar riff that we've got going on. It's kind of funky. It kind of stands out, I think, from anything on this album. Like, definitely this song sounds like it belongs on this album. But I wouldn't necessarily say that riff is super comparable to anything else on this album, would you?
No, it's almost like they pieced a riff that they had together with a song that was already written without it, I would say.
Yeah. It could be. Yeah, I mean, I think I want to say this song predates the album, that like there are demo versions of it around, I'm pretty sure. So who knows? I want to talk about backstory for this song, but like there isn't much.
Yeah, it's interesting because they were big enough at the time to like have things in publications and all of that. And
I think it's also like a lot of that was print. So
that I didn't think about that. That makes a lot of sense.
A lot of it was print, and yeah, they were big. They were getting a bunch of interviews, but like it was print, so probably a lot print, and there are some online. I did find, so this is like quoted via songfacts.com. This is something that Joel apparently said in an interview. I don't know the source of this interview, so I am not seeing this as fact, but I'm going to read for the class what he said.
Okay.
This is a song about dating a girl who is completely out of your league. You're the goody two-shoes boy, and she is a daredevil girl, Joel Madden mentioned in an interview. This song is about a girl I used to date who always walked on the wild side.
Okay. So that, if that, which it can't obviously without the source, but if that can be taken as fact, then that would be autobiographical.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, I definitely think I take this song, like, my listener interpretation of this song is that this is a girl he wants to date, but knows that he, like, for whatever reason, she's a heartbreaker, she has an asshole boyfriend, whatever, that he can't go after her. So I definitely did not take this song as this is a girl he is or was actually dating.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'd like to do some digging to see if I can pull up a source on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you find anything, because I did my usual searching, and I didn't see, I have a couple interviews from the early days that I kind of stored, but none others that mention this album. I mean, there's a lot of fan sites that have kind of cataloged, and this was like definitely more of a thing in like the early days, but fan sites would like catalog interviews, and so they would scan in magazine interviews, they would type up print newspaper and magazine interviews. So I think that I would imagine that something like that is how a quote like this maybe made its way onto the internet. But I searched the quote and I didn't find it elsewhere, so I don't know.
Interesting. I know there was a really good site that had so much info and interviews and pictures and media. I would get on it occasionally back in like 2005 or so, but like I'm sure it's gone and everything. But yeah, that was definitely. I would be surprised if a source wasn't something like that, where it was just something that was a scanned in picture.
Right. Well, John, do you have any memories or stories that you want to share about Walk By?
Like that was the song that I would always like look forward to on the album. Like as I was starting it, and I would listen to it when I was a kid in my Walkman in the car.
Oh yeah.
So it was like it's up there with Enema of the State, like that record of just listening to over and over, like as a kid going on drives.
Yeah.
So it feels like the early 2000s when, before being an adult, when there, weren't responsibilities and, life was just a little more happy-go-lucky because you didn't understand how crazy everything was.
Yeah. I think my big memory, I guess I have to share tangentially about this song. So this song mentions the date October 9th. And my bat mitzvah was October 9th.
Oh.
So, I mean, this album came out in 2000, September of 2000, and I didn't get this album until probably late 2003. And my bat mitzvah was 2004, but like the way it works, and I'm sure every synagogue does it differently, but at least at my synagogue, you had your bat mitzvah date like 4 years beforehand.
Okay.
Like, so you could plan out.
Yeah.
So when I did hear this album, I knew my bat mitzvah would be October 9th. And I just heard She Caught My Eye on October 9th. And I was like, how is Joel Madden singing about my bat mitzvah when it hasn't even happened yet? So I have that little memory. And so I always think of that and think of my bat mitzvah day when I hear this song.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. Have you ever been to a bar bat mitzvah?
Yeah, I have. I've been to a couple.
It's, to this day, I'm not married, and I imagine that will also be a big day of my life. Although you don't have to study a foreign language for your wedding, generally.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm 13 years old, like 5'3", I'm like full, my hair and makeup are done. I'm in this fancy dress, high heels, like a custom made dress. I've studied Hebrew, and like me, and I had a bat mitzvah partner. We had to essentially lead the service. So like, not only are we like leading prayers and reading from the Torah, like it's a whole thing. It's very nerve-wracking.
Oh, like, I'm sure.
I felt nerves that day that I never have felt in my life, and that I don't think I ever will.
Yeah, that's it. It sounds like so much pressure.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're very well prepared. You have, you know, you have the prayers like in front of you. Generally, you don't have like you have to memorize kind of the chants and the tunes, but you know, you have a lot of preparation. But it's kind of like, oh my God, like it's a lot of pressure for sure.
Yeah, but
it's cool, and that is when you are seen as an adult in the Jewish community for all intents and purposes. We want to talk about other Good Charlotte songs that Walk By kind of relates to, or how it fits into their discography. So, did you have any thoughts or any that come to mind?
Nothing that I'd thought of. And I mean, I haven't. That's not something that I'd like specifically sat and thought to connect their songs like that. But it's a common theme in their music and pop punk in general, just like, oh, like being, you know, heartbroken and the girl you can't get. It's, you know, there's a million ways to say it. So they definitely like to push that out, like a lot of bands similarly do.
I see this, like the direct comparison I see is that it's kind of like a prequel to Riot Girl, or like if Riot Girl is the badass girl that he's in love with, who I kind of think Riot Girl is not one person. Like I think Riot Girl is Blink-182 Josie. But if Riot Girl is like the badass punk rock girl he's in love with, Walk By is the antithesis, the badass punk rock girl, or maybe the not punk rock girl, I don't know, but the badass girl that's just going to break his heart.
I can definitely see that.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. I like that correlation.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is a real Riot Girl. Maybe they're about the same person. Who knows? Well, there is one alternate version of this song that I did find, which is this. There's an 8-bit arcade version. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I haven't heard that. That's very interesting. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. It's like a whole album. I don't know if they just did like this album, but there's like a ton of them out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a thing. I go back and forth because there's that and there's the Vitamin String Quartet covers. And some of them I'm like, all right, I like the strings better. Some of them I like the 8-bit better. But this one does not have a Vitamin String Quartet.
Those are like the Pickin' On series, right?
The what?
Is that the like they have the compilations with like Pickin' On, like Green Day or Blink-182? They've got like some of those out. That's the Vitamin String Quartet, isn't it?
I don't know if they've done Blink and Green Day, but I know they've done like Vitamin String Quartet does like tributes. So like they'll do like they have. Let me pull it up on Spotify. Yeah, so there's like a whole tribute album to Good Charlotte, but I think they also do compilations, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so there's a 2020 hits one. Oh my gosh, this 2020 hits one, it's WAP, Watermelon Sugar, Rockstar, Rain on Me, Someone You Loved, Cardigan. Oh, that's good. Okay. Yeah. Say So. Yeah. Okay, so it's like a bunch of TikTok songs. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's read some reviews of this song. Because this was a time. So Punk News gave the album 4.5 out of 5, which is funny because they would later give other albums bad scores. They said, when I finally got my hands on the CD, I was not disappointed at all. I was blown away. I thought all the songs were extremely catchy and with a great alternative punk ska sound to it. The 5 best songs on the disc are Little Things, A Waldorf Worldwide, Let Me Go, I Don't Want to Stop, and Walk By. If you like Lit, Eve 6, Phoenix TX, or Lefty, I definitely suggest this CD to you. I mean, I think they toured with Lit around the time this album came out, so.
Yeah. It's a very periodical or a very era list of bands.
Right. I mean, Eve 6, I guess, has got some popularity through a lot of shit posting on Twitter recently.
Yeah.
But other than that, how much relevance do have any of those bands had in the last, 17 years, 18 years? Like,
oh, man.
Tressa the Insane had an Angel Fire site. Angel Fire, TBT.
Wow.
They said the songs are really quite simple, especially the guitar parts, so it really surprised me when I opened the CD booklet and discovered they have 2 guitarists. Waldorf Worldwide, East Coast Anthem, I Heard You, and Walk By are all good pop punk songs. Good Charlotte is more enjoyable if you accept it as catchy pop punk. Don't expect something mind-blowingly original.
Damn.
You know what? But that review is kind of emblematic of Good Charlotte in that it's so clearly stating what they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what did Good Charlotte do on this record? They said what they were feeling. They said what they were thinking.
Yeah.
Even if it sounded kind of obnoxious. You know what? This review, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with it.
Yeah.
Ear Candy Mag reviewed their show in Atlanta on April 22nd, 2001. They mentioned this song, and I just want to read this. At about 9 o'clock, screams filled the room as Joel, Benji, Billy, Paul, and Aaron, drummer at the time, stepped into the light and resumed their places on stage. Instruments and microphones in hand. The band began playing their song Walk By, and the crowd was up and jumping, those who knew the words singing along. The security guards had their hands full with overzealous crowd servers, and after a while, lead singer Joel joined in on the fun. Wish I could have been there.
Oh, what a time. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. It's such a, oh God, what a story. Like, I love reviews like that really give you a story.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that was in a club rather than like a theater or an arena. So,
yeah.
I mean, just seeing them somewhere like packed out and just a smaller cap venue, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. Cryptic Rock did like a 2020 retrospective of the album, 20 years, mentioning this writer's personal favorite, Walk By, which forever marked October 9th as Evil Queen Day. Chorus.fm also had a nice retrospective when the album celebrated 20 years. They said, listening back to these songs, as well as Walk By, really brought up vivid memories of the first time I saw Good Charlotte live. I went to an album release party at a Tower Records in Rockville, Maryland with my younger brother, and the band played passionately to the packed crowd as Joel Madden swayed from the magazine racks in the periodical section of the store. It made for a really cool moment to hear these songs come to life with the Maryland crowd backing their every word.
That's dope. Also, Tower Records throwback.
Yeah, right? Well, let's read some YouTube comments. These were pretty good. So this was a fan upload by user Silver Die of the song, by the way. HBomb2704 said, I listen to this song every year on October 9th, LMAO. A lot of people saying things like that.
Mhm.
I Am Jafar said, I grew up on this song and The Click and Breaking the Habit by Linkin Park.
All right.
Emma said, OMG, this drummer is so much better than the one they have now.
Damn.
I mean, Aaron was a great drummer. All their drummers have been great players, both, people who just played on records and Dean, who's now been with them for many years. That's harsh. I wish I had written down when this comment is from and like which drummer is the one now. Like, is it Dean or was that when they had Chris or something?
Yeah. Huh.
Ines Tilas said, I love this old GC and I love the new GC because even if they turned completely pop, they would still rock. I mean, GC is so epic, there's no way they will ever suck.
All right.
Relatable. Something I would have written when I was 11 years old. Wonder if that was me at 11 years old. Although YouTube did not exist when I was 11 years old. OK Computer said, the only song I like from them, what GC used to make music, not publicity on MTV. Okay. I guess this person is more of a Radiohead fan. That's Radiohead, right? OK Computer? I think that's Radiohead.
Yeah.
I want to read a couple Amazon reviews just because these were funny. Katie gave the song an 8 out of 10 and said, Walk By goes along with the theme of singing about some girl that has clever lines. Nikki A gave it a 2 out of 5 and said, I just don't like this song.
Damn it, Nikki.
Yeah. Do you want to expand, Nikki? P. Woods from Amazon Canada gave it a 3 out of 5. Gave the album a 3 out of 5. And he said that if you liked The Young and the Hopeless, one of the songs he would recommend are this. But if you want to know Good Charlotte and you want to love them, just get The Young and the Hopeless and don't bother with this one.
What?
So your introduction to them was just when the self-titled had been out, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Because I had The Young and the Hopeless for probably like almost 6 months before I even knew that Good Charlotte had another CD that I had to then go buy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got The Young and the Hopeless on release day. I was 8 years old.
Wow. When I was 8 years old, I liked Ricky Martin and the Spice Girls. And I still like Ricky Martin and the Spice Girls. Oh, and I liked Sugar Ray. I did like Sugar Ray a lot in 3rd grade. Yeah, I liked Sugar Ray a lot. Last Amazon review we'll read is from Drew, who gave it a 4 out of 5 and said an intro similar to something the Rolling Stones would do with a real raw guitar sound.
Okay. Interesting. Wow. Huh. Very interesting comparison.
I mean, if there's any Good Charlotte song, especially in this album, that you're going to say that about, it's this song, right? It's this song.
Yeah.
Song meetings, there were not a whole lot of comments on songmeetings.com, but I'll read a few because some of these are funny. Burns said, this song is about girls who aren't worth it, and I totally understand because I had a boy like this once. Evil! 3 exclamation points. It's not worth it, man. Hope you're doing okay. Digital Stitches says, love this song. Reminds me of all the punk goth boys in my school who are asses, but I can't help but think are hot.
Wow, what year was that one written?
I mean, like 2000, 2001 maybe. Yeah. At the drive-thru, which, by the way, what a great username, because I guess they're combining At the Drive-In and then Drive-Thru Records.
Yeah.
This song is like the anthem to my life because of the guy I met one October night, and I love this song in the first place. And then says, I will never forget this song with a sad face. Oh no.
Yeesh.
Yeah, right? I don't know. 1227 said, she said, stay away from them, son. You know they're not true. All they're going to do is put you under a spell. She told me when you're falling down, you're going straight to hell. It took me a while, but I finally got it. At 5 a.m, I finally understood it. It took like 6 years, but I got it. I love this song. Am I missing something? Like, what is this person saying they got? Just that, like, the girl is gonna... Like,
what a insightful 5 a.m. epiphany.
Right. Like, yes. I mean, are they trying to imply that there's, like, some sexual innuendo? But, like, not saying there's absolutely not, but I don't know. I don't get a very direct sexual innuendo out of this.
Yeah, no.
I don't know.
Huh. People are interesting.
Well, John, how has Walk By held up for you over time?
I mean, it's still a banger, like just like everything else on that record. A lot of stuff I'll listen to, even from like much more recent that I was really big into, I'll go back on and it's just like, what was this? Like I'm very picky on production since I do it myself.
Sure.
So its production was good. I will also say, I think this record is the earliest thing I can find that has bass drops in pop punk. They were definitely ahead of their time. I think that might be part of why.
Where would the bass drops be on this record?
In Waldorf Worldwide, the Versus has it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they kind of brought in that like hip hop and maybe some dance, I guess, kind of influence before anyone else really did it. Yeah.
Listen to that song with subs if you ever get the chance.
Okay. I'll listen to it. I guess probably my car probably has the best speakers that I have. Although I do have, I'll go up to my parents' house sometime and I know they have good speakers. So
yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely held up. It's just a great song and a great record. I don't think there's a bad song on it.
Yeah. Well, what has Good Charlotte meant to you over the years, and how has that changed?
It's just been, I guess, like a goal of what I want to do with music and like how impactful I want it to be.
Sure.
Like people remember their like their lines and like so far later, like 20 plus years later, and that's like that. I just want something that memorable. I was listening to this record yesterday at work when we were closing, and one of our shift managers said, like, thought that it sounded familiar, and like she listens to like hip hop and like just like instrumental beats all the time, and like no pop punk, hasn't heard of Blink-182. But recognized something, and then I was like, it's probably this song, and I played the anthem, and she was like, oh yeah, I know that song.
There we go. I mean, and if someone is like a hip hop person and you're going to show them a pop punk band, Good Charlotte would be a good one to show them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or Blink, honestly, just because especially everything that Travis has done. Well, do you have any last words about Walk By, about Good Charlotte, about Karma Kids, or about yourself?
To Good Charlotte, please bring back Walk By Live. It is a fucking banger.
I think if they ever have a show on October 9th again, they are legally required to play this song. I don't make the laws, but
I'm sure they've played, like they've definitely played shows on October 9th. Why wouldn't they have played that? That's
right.
Ooh. And then as far as Karma Kids goes, our album Vibes is out June 11th. Pre-saves are available and pre-orders are available at we have a link tree. It's just Karma Kids IN. Everything you will need will be there.
Perfect. Well, as we wrap up, so I do a Generation GC and Friends Spotify playlist.
Okay.
So I'm going to include Walk By. I'll put the 8-bit arcade version. And then I'm going to ask you for 2 things. So the first one is, what Karma Kids song should I add? And the second is just anything you're listening to lately that you would like to add.
Okay. Karma Kids wise, probably Nightmare once it's available on Friday.
Yeah. Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And then I found the self-titled album by Say Anything recently and was very impressed with that. I saw them with Angels and Airwaves in 2010, but never really got into them.
Yeah, that's the tour I went to, yeah.
Hell yeah. Probably Mara and Me. It's on the self-titled album.
Perfect. John, this has been awesome. Well, you gave us the link tree. Anything else that you would just want to add before we wrap up?
I don't think so. I appreciate you having me. I was very excited to have this discussion.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thank you, John, so much for coming on the show. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. Last week, we talked about Actual Pain from Generation RX. Next week, we'll be talking about a song from the Chronicles of Life and Death. My name is Molly Hudelson. Once again, as always, I've been your host. I'm also the producer, creator, and editor of Generation GC. You can follow Generation GC at Generation GC Pod, POD, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also follow me, Molly, at M Hudelson, MHUDELSON, on Twitter and Instagram. Please make sure to subscribe to the show and follow and rate, leave a review. But most importantly, please tell a friend, spread the word, word of mouth. That's like the best way to get the word out and make the Generation GC fam even bigger. Thank you for tuning in.